Welcome to this video, which is a firepower test of the diminutive Ignite Lite 6Q firing system. This was an interesting test to do because the official rating of this is just one clip-on igniter at a time, which is quite a limitation given the other constraints of this system, such as its non-expandability. I'll put a link in the video description to my main video on this unit, which shows how it all works, in case you haven't seen it yet. So if we can fire more than one igniter at a time, it's going to be a massive help. For the first test then, I'm sticking within the quick plug ecosystem with the parallel breakout board and official Ignite 2-meter igniters. I must draw your attention at this point to Ignite's own help article, which is quite clear: you cannot use breakout boards with this unit. Pressing on anyway, here I'm going to take a chance on 3 igniters at the same time to see what happens. As you can see, they fire okay, which is a great start. Next, I'm going to extend this out to 10 meters. My setup is as follows. A quick plug from a used igniter is going to a spring clip, to which I attach my 10-meter bell wire extension. More on the bell wire later in the video. This ends with another spring clip going to a used quick plug into the parallel breakout board, which my igniters are plugged into. No luck this time, I'm afraid. Despite multiple attempts to fire, nothing will fire. So I'm going to drop down to 2. Interesting here, because as you can see, one fires. But there's a pause before the second one fires. I think here that the second igniter had just enough time on the remaining pulse after the first one blew out to reach the required temperature to ignite the Visco fuse. However, I have to count that as a failure to reliably light both at the same time. With one safely in the bag though, at 10 meters, I added all 3 of my 10-meter wires together to get a huge 30-meter extension. As you can see here, that one fired okay as well, first time. Dropping down to 5 meters now, let's try 3, so that's 5 meters of bell wire going to 2-meter igniters. Here only one fired and it took 3 attempts, so this would have to be counted as a failure to fire all 3 as well at 5 meters. Interestingly, retrying with the 2 remaining, neither would fire. A quick check though, one igniter only at 5 meters did fire, as we would have expected from the previous 30-meter test. Getting back to 0 extension now, and I'm curious to try all 5 2-meter igniters. Note however that having been distracted by some raucous chickens that you may hear in the background, I made a silly error and didn't push the last igniter all the way in. So really this is a test of 4 igniters at the same time, but as you can see, they failed anyway with only one firing. Final test then, and it's 3 again at 0 extension, just to recheck my first test. As you can see here, no problem at all. Wrapping this up then, one 2-meter igniter is good at up to 30 meters of extension in these tests, which is fantastic news. However, for firing multiple igniters, there wasn't enough juice in the system to do this on any extension reliably, but at 0 distance 3 fired okay on 2 occasions. Stressing this is with 2-meter igniters, not the longer ones that Ignite also sell. Putting these 2 findings together has importance when it comes to site setup. If you were wanting to fire singles in all but your final queue as an example, where perhaps you wanted to fire off 2 or 3 items as a finale, you'd need to have the multiple items within 2 meters of your module, but you should be able to safely extend the singles if you wanted to spread them out on your firing site a little bit. I'd like to end with a couple of important caveats. First, to reiterate what I said earlier, Ignite rate this as just single igniters and tell you not to use the breakout board. So my findings go against official advice. I think then that you'll be firing multiple igniters at your own risk. I also need to point out the bell wire I use may be different thickness to bell wire that you might use, which could improve or worsen your own performance. I use Pitax bell wire from Toolstation so that my fellow UK enthusiasts can replicate my setup, but if you're a US subscriber for example and can't get the same wire, the subject of wire gauge is often brought up. Pitax don't specify a gauge, but do say the diameter of their wire is 0.55 millimeters, so depending on what chart you use, that's 23 or 24 gauge. Finally, these tests were done at around 10 degrees Celsius with a unit and battery which is at room temperature, so performance might be affected if the unit had been out for a while in cooler conditions. Okay, that's all from me for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.